straight into it. This is Vidya, our model today, and we're going to highlight some darker skin ranges, and we're going into the Advanced Formula COQ10 foundation, and this is number 7, Walnut. First thing we're going to do is start with the foundation primer. Very important. It basically is the canvas for your skin. It's the undercoat. It makes sure that the skin is balanced and it's not too dry, not too oily. Start at the forehead and we work our way down. So it's not actually a moisturiser as such. It doesn't have any humectants. It's not so much that it's nourishing. What it is it seals any moisture that's already in the skin, holds it in, and then it stops anything from coming from the outside into the skin. So it's basically your insurance to make sure that your foundation will stay on no matter what and balance the skin underneath. And make sure you go over the eyelids as well. The primer can be used everywhere. So we're going to do a traditional application. Always shake your foundations first. And again, I like to start at the forehead and work my way down. Now, the Advanced Formula is a nice silky matte finish, so it actually doesn't need any powdering at the end as well. We use this mostly for photographic. And I find I like a sponge application as opposed to a brush, because sometimes the brush can actually leave some streaks through. I find that I've got to buff it in a fair bit. I just find this is the easiest way with this particular formula because it's so fine. That little bit of stippling effect there, that actually adds more coverage to certain areas. And make sure you blend under your jawline and just keep going down to the neck. You don't want any harsh lines anywhere. How have you found it, Vidya, to find foundation for yourself?
It's probably one of the biggest problems with my skin colour.
Yeah.
Especially a lot of makeup artists go too white.
Too light?
Too
yeah,
light,
for your skin.
yeah, and it doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't bring out your true colour.
Yeah.
But this looks great.
And it's hard, isn't it? Because, you know, especially when you're trying to find a foundation for yourself and, you know.
Yeah, no, it's especially if you're just going into a shop or whatever and they're just trying to sell it rather than match your actual skin colour.
Yeah. And unfortunately we don't have a lot of variety here, which is why I went to develop the whole darker range.
That's
because
it.
Working with so many beautiful models and actors and you all don't have all the stuff you need.
No.
Okay, so it's given a nice balanced coverage. Okay, so that's the Walnut in the Advanced Formula foundation. We have them in 15mm as well as 30mm. For 15mm I find really cool because, especially for makeup artists, if you're travelling around, we do them in the 10 packs. So we have them like this. And it just means you can dip your toe in the whole colour range without actually dragging along 30mm heavy bottles. Now I'm going to do a little bit of concealing, and I actually like to use the stick foundations for the concealing. This one's called Sierra, number 7, and it's actually used as a concealer and a foundation. It's very blendable, very high in pigment. Now when I'm doing concealing, what I do is I get you to tilt your chin down and look straight ahead and see the light. It actually picks up the dark area that you've got to work with there. So what I do, I get nice and directional with my brush, nice firm brush. And I use a synthetic brush as well. If you use a lot of the looser sort of sable brushes, they actually hold a lot of product in them, so it's very hard to clean out, so I prefer the synthetic type. So we're just going to work on that actual area that needs to be concealed. Tilt up for me. difference.
Yeah.
And what you can do too is use your finger, because what that does is heats the product up and it actually sits in the skin a lot better, looking more realistic. So the next step I'm doing, I'm actually just going to soup up under the eyes with a little bit of eyeshadow. I'm going to use a peach colour. This is out of the Evolve palette series 3, the blusher palette, and this one's called Tweak. Right, so it's just a little bit of a peachy sort of colour. I'm just going to tap this under the eyes because I've used concealer, and now it's different from the COQ10 because the coenzyme Q10 we don't actually need powder. When we've done the concealer, we will. So what I want to do, just to take out a little bit more of that blue, I'm actually using this peach powder to counteract it and set the foundation, the concealer as well. You can see how much it blends into a skin tone. It just takes that blue out. All right. So you're correcting and setting at the same time. It's made a difference, darling. You don't look so tired.
Yeah. Wish someone would do this every morning. Yeah, it completely gets rid of it.
Yeah, wipe out. Right, so now with the conceal stick, the foundation stick, number 7 Sierra, I'm going to just tap up a little bit around certain areas, just around the nose because you don't want any redness left. Because the rule of thumb, when light brings forward, dark takes back. So if we've got areas in here like mine, for example, when they're a little bit darker in there, what I like to do is put a little bit of highlight on them, and so that actually lifts that area out. Okay, so I'm going to do some brush on brows. I generally prefer to use a powder over a pencil, simply because it's a far more natural look. So this is the brush on brow palette, and 6 colours in here. All can be used wet and dry, so you've actually got liquid liners as well as contour powder as well as eyebrow. It works for so many things. So today on Vidya, you would think you'd go here when you're looking at it naturally, but these can be quite dark. So we're going to start with something that's a little bit lighter rather than darker because we don't want to go too strong. We just want to fill in and keep it looking natural. So the first thing I'll do, always tame the shrew. Timothy Sprawley said that to me once when I went on final checks on a film. He's got very big bushy eyebrows and has to go in with a comb, and he'd call it taming the shrew again, are we? Alright, so I generally start in the front. I like to fill in those loose hairs there. Make it nice and strong. And the rule of thumb with eyebrows, when we're creating the actual shape for them, inside the middle of the nose, straight up, that's where we should start. Outside corner of the nose to the outside of the eye and out, and that's where we should finish. Now fashion's going to dictate things so many times. There's so many rules to different things, but fashion will dictate. So whatever the fashion is at the time, but this is a good guide. Now what I do at the end, I always like to go back over with my brush because that way you're actually blending the hair, the brush on brow through the hair. And it just balances them up. Now, if you've got unruly eyebrows, the best thing to do is get a little bit of hairspray and spray it on the end of that, straight across and it'll hold. Okay, so we're going to go into the eyeshadow base. We're going to be using Series 3, eyeshadow Series 3, the Evolve palette, and we're going to go into just a really nice soft base. I generally like to do a matte as a base, and then I'll use my shimmers later. Just close for me. And this just lifts the eye area out. Nice loose fine brush.